Hatujambo. Wangapi kati yenu ni wa Kenya? Kwa hivyo tuko hapa kama wa Kenya, si ndio? Yesterday we were in the launch of campaign of Mimi ni Mkenya. Kwa hivyo we are here kama sisi ni wa Kenya, na ningependa kuwakaribisha kwa kikao hiki. So members of the commission, our guest, board member of LGA and our former vice chairperson, Ms. Lilian Mairi Saja, the president of the Editors Guild, Ms. Zubeida Kananu, SG of the Kenya Union of Journalists, present here, Mr. Eric Odor, all members of the Kenya Media Sector Working Group present here, our staff led by the CEO, Mr. Ladema Sunkuli. It is my pleasure this morning, as the chairperson of the commission, to welcome you to this very significant event in the calendar of major events in our country, which is an event that brings the Kenya Media Sector Working Group with all its memberships together with the Commission to sign a memorandum of understanding so that we can work together. As you may have heard from our previous speakers, including our Commissioner Professor, we attach very, very significant importance to the media and media stakeholders. That is why when we took over office, immediately after we took over the oath of office, we actually reached out to the media as one of the first stakeholders to engage with. And I believe that was in July, the same month we took our oath of office and reported to work. So we value, we cherish the role that the media plays in our democracy and in deepening our democracy. Yesterday, we can indeed confirm that we participated in marathon events that were organized by the media, the Nation Media Group, Mimi Mkenya campaign, but also more importantly and significantly for this forum, we had a very, very candid conversation yesterday afternoon with the Kenya Media Owners Association, representing all the members who represented the media owners in this country. And in that meeting, we also underscored the importance of the media owners working with their editors and their journalists and their respective media houses, and collectively within the framework of the Kenya Media Sector Working Group, we underscored the importance of us collaborating and working in partnership to make sure that the elections in Kenya are peaceful, credible, free, fair, transparent, and verifiable, and more importantly, acceptable in the Republic of Kenya. So it is in recognition of this, the importance of the media in the democratic space, that when we met with the Kenya Media Sector Working Group some time back, I don't think it's more than 3 months, right? We agreed that we are going to fast track the crafting of a comprehensive memorandum of understanding that will clearly set out the objectives for which we intend to collaborate on. And I have the sample memorandum here, the copy of that memorandum. This memorandum clearly outlines the purpose for which we are partnering, and we have assigned each party, the Kenya Media Sector Working Group and its memberships, specific responsibilities in this memorandum. We have also given IEBC, or outlined what will be the role of IEBC in this memorandum. And this memorandum, if I may read, the purpose is to establish a common ground on priority areas for cooperation ahead of, that is, in the period before the elections, during, that is the period under which we gazette and undertake the elections, and after the elections. So there'll be a series of events starting from now, 17 months to elections, and during the actual elections, and immediately after the elections. So there are a series of areas where we have agreed to collaborate with the Kenya Media Sector Working Group, bringing together the Kenya Union of Journalists, the Kenya Editors Guild, and all their members. As I think the list was read earlier, about how many members? 24 members. And we believe that this MoU binds all of us together to work towards realizing the objectives of this Memorandum of Understanding. And if I may just highlight some of the areas, we have agreed on promoting timely access to electoral information and activities. So as partners, we will ensure that we avail to each other accurate, timely information on all matters related to elections, on all activities related to elections during the electoral calendar, which we are actually implementing currently. We have also agreed to ease access to polling stations and tallying centers to all accredited journalists. That is a responsibility of IEBC to ensure responsible access to those that are accredited. And I believe that accreditation will take place in a transparent and accountable manner, and that those journalists that are accredited are trained properly and understand their duties and responsibilities in an electoral setting. We have also agreed to provide resources to persons to ease collection, processing, and disseminating of verified electoral information. You know, collecting data is very expensive. Collecting the correct information is very expensive. And we have agreed to collaborate in our own small ways or in big ways to ensure that we avail resources to our journalists, to the institutions we are collaborating with, to ensure that they can collect that information, process it, and then disseminate it accordingly. We have also agreed to ensure, particularly, and I think this is one of those areas that normally breeds anxiety, the transmission of election results. We have agreed that, guided by this MoU, we will create an interface where we can work together to collaboratively make sure that we explain to Kenyans how results are transmitted from the polling stations to the constituency tallying centers up to the national tallying centers in a seamless, in a well-coordinated way in order to minimize anxieties and to minimize other unintended and bad consequences. Lastly, we have also agreed in this MoU to ensure accountabilities in terms of fact-checking and ensuring that we disseminate that information that will reassure Kenyans that the election process is properly managed and that it's accountable and transparent. So that is why I'm very, very pleased to be here this morning to witness the signing of this MoU between us and a very, very important stakeholder, which is the media. We've been told, of course, IEBC, our role is to conduct elections, to conduct and supervise elections in this country. And general election is normally such a huge undertaking, such a very big and significant exercise in the calendar of events in our country. And it's a constitutional requirement that every 5 years, the people of Kenya must come together and work towards exercising their sovereign rights to elect their representatives and to constitute their government. Which is why we as IEBC, noting that in that conducting of elections and in the contest that brings together political actors, we count on you, the media, as has been said before by the previous speakers. We count on you to mediate. So media, you have a new role or a new understanding, yeah? That your role is to mediate. And you can only mediate when you give true, truthful, factual, verified information to the public. And it's up to the public to judge based on that information that has been given to them. You can also destroy by propagating and spreading, disseminating propaganda that is intended or well calculated to achieve certain results, which is to plunge the country into chaos, into anarchy, to make the country not believe the results of an election. All of that is in your hands, and it's the responsibility of the media to choose. But I believe through this MoU, we have chosen the path of mediating in an impartial, in an accountable and transparent manner, so that we all bear responsibilities as Kenyans as guided by our Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like just to lastly emphasize a few points. That the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, which is now close to 15 or 16 years old, when we passed that Constitution, we gave ourselves certain responsibilities. First of all, we took power and gave it to ourselves, and we said, sovereign power belongs to the people. But the people also assigned themselves responsibilities, because as rights holders with that sovereign power and with the rights to register as voters, to vote and to be voted for, there also comes responsibility with those rights. So as media fraternity and as IEBC, we are both duty bearers. We bear the duties and responsibilities to fellow Kenyans to make sure we do the right thing in executing our mandate. But we are also expected to know that these rights that we have as media, as journalists, as editors, as media owners, these rights come with responsibilities. And I urge you, therefore, to ensure that we are responsible in whichever ways we act. Accountability, number 2. We need to be accountable. Most often, IEBC is expected to be beyond Caesar's wife, as clean as, I don't know, snow or the cleanest it can get. But then the people who are bombarding IEBC with demands of accountability, transparency, have they stopped to ask themselves, are they themselves accountable for what they're doing? Are they themselves transparent? Is our media accountable for their actions, for their reporting, for their headlines? Are they accountable? Are they responsible? So we need to hold each other accountable, because somebody said accountability is a two-way traffic. I believe is the president of the Kenya Editors Guild. Accountability is a two-way traffic. So we must ask ourselves, are we accountable as well? Are we as transparent as we demand of IEBC? Our key stakeholders are the people of Kenya, who must elect their leaders in every election that we conduct. The people of Kenya are good people. They are responsible citizens. They can undertake their responsibilities by registering as voters. They will turn up to vote. To vote for who? Their leaders, who are mainly politicians. So media and IEBC, what is our relationship like with our politicians? Could we be giving politicians more leverage? Could we be putting politicians at another level by giving them a lot of airtime without holding them accountable? When you see politicians doing the things they do best, and then we keep cheering on, when you hear some of them saying they will adjust a ballot, and you don't fact check them and ask them, where are you going to get those ballot papers and ballot boxes you are going to fill? When you cheer on and focus your cameras on some of them, when they talk about 2017, I don't know, will look like a Christmas party. You know, scaremongering and telling us how things are going to be chaotic and anarchy will reign. Then the media, we keep focusing on such narratives without fact-checking and holding them accountable for the statements they are propagating. Are we responsible citizens by doing that? So I need us to ask hard questions, because elections is not a one-day event. It's not for you to wait for IEBC to set up the polling stations on 10th of August. Then people show up, vote, and go home. End of story. It is a lengthy process. It requires a lot of conversations, sometimes very difficult conversations. When you see specific politicians actually mobilizing goons, what we call nowadays goonsies, and we witnessed in the last by-elections, a section of them, in some places, in Kasipul, where we got reports and of course took the necessary action by fining those who are culpable, who are responsible for that. And in some other places, Malava, when these politicians organize goons, but then the media twists the same narrative and blames IEBC. IEBC should have done this, IEBC should have prevented this. But you blindside the perpetrators, the mobilizers of that violence, the people who paid for the pro boxes to transport the goons, because you cannot bring those goons without paying them. Then we shut them off and then blame IEBC. Are we fair to this commission? Are we fair to this country? Are we fair to the people of Kenya? So let us promote that reporting that is factual, that attributes responsibility to the people who are responsible for that. If certain people are propagating violence, hold them responsible, name and shame them. Don't blame IEBC because it's so convenient for everybody to blame IEBC. The politicians blame IEBC. Media, IEBC. Citizens, IEBC. So I call upon the media fraternity present here today, and through this arrangement, through this framework, let us be open to one another, let us share information, let us open those channels of communication. I know there's a coordination framework within this MoU, and we'll do that without necessarily demanding that we gag you from doing a job. We'll be very happy if you hold us accountable for every process. And we have agreed here that before elections, during elections, and after elections, we are going to work together, and you're going to hold us accountable. You are going to report, but be factual, be truthful, and be responsible, because we have a country to run. This commission is a people's commission. It's a constitutional commission. It doesn't belong to anybody but the people of Kenya. And the people of Kenya in Article 249 gave us the independence we need for us to deliver on the mandate they have given to us. That independence is very clear. We are not under control or direction of anybody, including the media, including the politicians. So you cannot report maybe certain things, if you want to put pressure on us so that we tilt things or certain decision your way. We can't. We will apply our minds, we will interpret the Constitution, we will follow our procedures independently of anybody. So this collaboration means, therefore, as much as we are independent in executing our core mandate, but we are also interdependent with many, many stakeholders, including the media. We are interdependent. We depend on you to work with us to educate Kenyans, to inform Kenyans, to rally Kenyans to come and support the commission, to rally Kenyans to come and register, to rally Kenyans to come and vote, to rally Kenyans to distinguish between the truth and the information disorder, which includes, of course, misinformation, disinformation, and all those things. So, as I conclude, I urge you, the Kenya Media Sector Working Group, to ensure that we work collaboratively to improve on the quality of journalism and application of ethical standards and rules as we report on elections in this republic. We also urge you to work with us collaboratively to ensure that the code of conduct, the electoral code of conduct, is fully implemented. And in fact, as the new commission, as the new IEBC, we would like to revisit that code of conduct to just ensure whether it's fit for purpose, to make sure we update it, to make sure it takes into account emerging challenges such as this phenomena of information, disinformation, and malinformation, and all those things you have spoken about, including AI. So we need to capture all those things in the code of conduct. We need to ensure that that code of conduct reflects the principles of elections in Kenya under Article 81, particularly that section where the Constitution talks about the elections must be free from intimidation, must be free from harassment, must be free from violence and bribery. So we need to look at that electoral code of conduct so that we implement it together in a robust way, including, for example, what our brother Odor was talking about. When you see a politician who is consistently undermining the integrity of elections in this republic through their utterances or actions, why can't we then debar that person from being cleared as a candidate to contest, whether their party brings him or not? We should step up. We should be tough, because this country belongs to 50+ million Kenyans. We can't allow a single individual who's looking for a job to be a member of county assembly or a member of National Assembly or a member of the Senate. They are looking for jobs. They have to talk to Kenyans nicely. But when they talk to Kenyans in a condescending language, in an insultive language, in a language that incites the public, we should, journalists, report, give us the factual information, where they were, what they said, what they did, so that when we receive that information as a commission, we should use it as a basis of enforcing the electoral code of conduct. These are some of the innovative things we have to go. Because if we let things run the way they are, that's not acceptable. So we will work together to enforce that electoral code of conduct. And since you are the people in the field, the journalists, the media fraternity, give us factual information about these individuals. Lastly, we'll be launching the enhanced voter registration on 30th. The reason why you see some reports and reported by some of your journalists, I think we need to do something about the quality of our journalists in the field. Yeah? In terms of some sensitivity around reporting. The last 2 weeks we've been recruiting and training over, how many thousand? Over 12,000 registration officials. That required that some of our staff already working with us who are trainers of trainers have to leave their offices to train these 12,000 young Kenyans who will be helping us to undertake the mass voter registration exercise. So that's why you see in some stations we have stepped down in anticipation that by Monday this coming week, we will have registration centers across all the wards, the villages, and everywhere in the Republic. Over 30,000. Actually 33,000, right? Yeah, over 30,000 registration centers across the Republic. And therefore this exercise will be massive. So we urge you, media, to highlight, to publicize this exercise, ensure that Kenyans who are eligible, who have ID cards, who are 18 and above, come out in large numbers to register, because we're bringing services closer to the people now, unlike before when we were only doing it at the constituency level. So this is a very important exercise that will test the resolve for us to work under this framework MoU. So as we have committed ourselves to implementing this MoU, which we will sign today, let us begin by doing something around mobilizing Kenyans to register in large numbers. So the exercise will happen on 30th this month, March. We will undertake this exercise in Kwale at a place called Shimoni Port. The significance of that choice of Kwale is because we want to launch this exercise among some of our marginalized and minority communities. And they will all be there. I'm sure some of you have heard the Makondes and many other smaller communities, the fisher folk, the marginalized communities along the coastal strip. And we will be asking you to help us to magnify that information, that this new IEBC is about inclusiveness, inclusivity and participation in our electoral processes. So that's one of the major announcements I needed to make to all of us. And lastly, is just to say thank you very much to the Kenya Media Sector Working Group, Kenya Union of Journalists, Kenya Editors Guild. Thank you for that commitment, because when we met and agreed, you honored that agreement by putting everything we agreed on paper. So thank you very much, and we're ahead of time. And we have touched on some of the critical sensitive issues, including the result transmission. Thank you very much, and I urge you to work with this commission so that we do the right thing for Kenyans. I would also like to thank Elgia. Elgia, you have been there since we came on board, right from day one. Elgia has worked with us from our induction, from our training, from our electoral law reforms, our communication strategy, to this date when we have engaged with the media. And I believe you also supported us in our first media engagement. So thank you very much, Elgia, and keep it up. I know there are also other institutions that we will be working with in this journey. We thank all of them. We thank UK Aid. Please convey our gratitude to them for the financial support they have availed to us through Elgia. And with those many remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, he deserves better. Come on. He has made a commitment. Thank you very much, Chairman. And we appreciate the love and respect that you have for the media sector. You know, he mentioned that we were the first organization